Big salute to all of my veterans out here. Big shout out to all of my subscribers, man. Like I tell you guys, I can't go one video without showing my appreciation to you guys too. Man, you see it on my hat right there. First Lieutenant Manny. Man, I'm telling y'all, sometimes I miss it. I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes I miss the military. But when I miss it, I just wake up in the morning, put my PT shorts on and go for a run. When I'm at the office, I'm gonna wear this hat, and this hat is going to bring back a bunch of memories too, man. The military has taught me a whole lot, but the most important thing that the military has taught me is basically discipline. Man, you guys gotta be disciplined, I'm telling you, man. See, we can have that mission, that goal in our mind, right? But a lot of people will never execute. And then when you execute, a lot of people will never have that discipline level to continue. See, people will execute, but will you stick with it? Do you have that discipline in you? That desire and that dedication to continue? What have you put your body through? What type of test have you ever put your mind through in this world? You know? So I am grateful for the military, man. I really appreciate the things that I have learned in the military. And the most important thing, like I'm telling you guys, is discipline. You gotta be disciplined in this world if you want to basically continue what you have started and what you have executed on. So let me tell you guys real quick, man. I wanna talk to you freight brokers. I'm gonna tell you freight brokers how you guys can make more money out of these transactions. But before I roll off into that, let me tell you guys what detention and layover pay is. So basically, detention pay is whenever that truck driver pull up, that truck driver might be out there for 2 hours before they get loaded, right? They might just be out there hanging out because the shipping company might be slow, they might be lazy, they might be busy, who knows, right? So anyway, that truck driver is entitled to detention pay. So some of you truck drivers might not even know that right now. You guys are entitled to detention pay if you guys have been in front of that shipper for 2 hours. Sometimes after 1 hour, you guys are entitled to detention pay. So basically, detention pay is when that truck driver pull up and basically is being detained. He's just out there hanging out for 2 hours, right? Now that truck driver can call up the freight broker and say, hey, I'm requesting detention pay. So now that freight broker is getting the money directly from the shipper. So for you freight brokers out here, make sure that you guys, whenever you're brokering out these loads for these shipping companies, always ask them how much do they pay for detention pay and for layover pay, right? So let's go back to the example. If that truck driver has been hanging out for the past 2 hours, that truck driver called up the freight broker and say, hey, I'm requesting detention pay. So now the freight broker calls up the shipper and say, hey, the driver has been out there for the past 2 hours, driver is requesting detention pay. So the freight broker should already know how much that shipping company pays for detention pay and layover pay, right? So let's just say that shipping company pays $200 for every hour for detention pay, and that driver has been there for the past 2 hours, right? So now the shipper is going to pay that freight broker $400 for that driver being there for that 2 hours, right? Because they're paying $200 per hour. So now the freight broker basically tells the actual trucking company that they are going to get $100 per hour. So now that freight broker is going to pay that truck driver $200 for detention pay, and that freight broker is going to keep $200, right? So a lot of truckers are going to say, man, Manny, man, freight brokers always robbing, you know, the truck drivers out here. Hey, you guys got to realize it's all business. Like I tell you guys, nothing in life is free, you know? The whole goal about being in business is to make as much money as possible, like I tell you guys in my videos, right? So now I'm letting you freight brokers know out here how you guys can make more money during these transactions, because the thing about it is the truck driver don't know how much money they are entitled to, you know? every shipping company pays different. Some shipping companies might pay $50 an hour. Some shipping companies might pay $300 or $400 an hour, right? So that's why it's up to you freight brokers out here to make sure that you guys are negotiating with these shipping companies and that you understand how much money they are paying for layover pay and detention pay. So whenever that time do come, whenever that driver is being detained or whenever that driver has to lay over for the night, you guys know how much money the shipping company is paying, and then you basically set your price to the actual trucking company and let them know how much you're going to pay them too, right? The truck driver don't know that you just made $200 for every hour, you know? The only thing that the trucking company need to know is how much money you're paying them every hour, right? So now layover is basically when that trucking company has to go to a site or to a location and has to sleep there overnight. So layover pay could be anywhere from $500 to $1,000 or even more. It all depends on how much that shipping company is willing to pay and how much the freight broker is negotiating for. But for every time you guys lay over, you guys should be getting at a bare minimum $500 for laying over if you do have to sleep over, you know, too, for your freight brokers. So let's just say for the freight broker might got $500 for the layover pay, but the freight broker basically pay the actual trucking company $400, you know? So anyway it go, or you could pay that trucking company $300. It just depends on what that trucking company is willing to accept. The thing about business is that you're just putting the price out there, you know? The trucking company don't have to accept it. You know, they don't have to accept the rates that you're giving them. This is what you are telling them up front, you know? So like I say, the trucking companies don't have to know that you got $500. It's not their business. The whole point about being a freight broker is to make sure that you're making some type of profit off of every transaction that you are conducting, right? If you are not doing that, what's the point of being a broker? A broker is someone who makes money off of every transaction. It don't matter how much money is being paid or whatever. The whole goal is for you to always get something out of every transaction, right? So for you guys out here, man, I just wanted to share this with you, especially for you freight brokers. This is another way that you guys could make money. And this is going to be good because I'm telling you out here, a lot of these trucking companies out here, a lot of these freight brokers, a lot of these dispatchers don't know anything about detention pay and layover pay. They never ask to. I hate when truckers call me up to book one of my loads off the load board and they never ask me, hey, how much do I get for detention pay and layover pay? There's times when I have to school these truckers and these dispatchers when they're calling me up, and I have to let them know. And sometimes I'll be like, hey man, do you watch YouTube? Hey, this is Manny, you know? And I'm going to school you right now and give you, you know, some questions that you should be asking brokers whenever you're calling them up, you know? How much is detention pay? How much is layover pay? When you guys are freight brokers, when you're going to that shipper, when you're negotiating, make sure that you guys are asking those shippers, man, how much is detention pay? How much is layover pay? So that you already know that set price. So if that time do come, if that driver is being detained or if that driver has to lay over, you already know how much more money that you could make out of that transaction. And the goal is to make as much money as possible when you are in business. So if you guys have any questions, hit me on my text message, 317-953-8943. Go visit my website, www.extraordinarymovement.com. Go get your 30-day free trial with DAT Load Board. Go sign up with TAFS, Trans and Financial Services, if you guys are looking for a factoring service. Also, if you guys are freight brokers looking for a factoring service, go sign up with Axle Payments. Everything in the description, link below. Man, like I tell you guys, boy, it's a beautiful morning and I'm excited. Let's get it. CEO. Commit, execute, and be obsessed. Everybody be great out there.